Yo, check out G-Subs for the best energy drink out there, and you can use code ZK to get 10% off your order. Thank you. In this video, I present to you the best PvP Warlock build in Edge of Fates. You'll be able to simply shoot people and get the Radiant buff. With that buff, you're going to be able to scorch targets, and with the scorch, you're going to be able to ignite them pretty much often. You're going to be the first to get your Well of Radiance in any lobbies. You're going to have tons of grenades and tons of rifts, and each kill pretty much you can get restoration for free. So phenomenal build to use, and it took me a few weeks to perfect this build, but I can finally say that it's up there right now, and I'm ready to slay in the Crucible with it. This will obviously be my main build to use in Trials of Osiris or any PvP activities, and I had a rough time playing PvP this season because I didn't have the perfect build, but now that I have it, it's actually more enjoyable. So let's go in depth on the build right here. So first, stats distribution. It's always the biggest question I get. What should I get on my character for stats? Always prioritize the health stats in the Crucible, in my opinion. This is the number one stats that you want to focus on. And on the Warlock, I like to go to 150 health. You could go above 150 health. Like, you get pretty much good benefits for going to 200. There's actually a video right here from Awfully on YouTube. Shout out to that guy. But he's pretty much showcasing the health difference in the region from 100 to 200. So you can tell that it makes a big difference. But the problem is the more health that you have, the less stats that you have on other stuff. And I think this build works really great if you have a balance on everything. So for example, right now, we have 150 health. The second stats that we're prioritized is definitely the super. You want to get at least 100 super, because if you don't get 100 super, you never get your super in Crucible at all. So 100 super, you're going to be able to shoot people and actually get your Well of Radiance. The third stat to prioritize is either class or grenade. I like to just have all three at 100 right here. If I could get all of them at just 100 flats, it would be better and boost a little bit of my melee. But melee is not that important. You're going to see why in the rest of the video. So we got 150 health, 48 melee, 103 grenade, 104 super, 104 class, and 5 weapons. The weapon stats is not useful in this build at all. It's really specific to weapons that you're going to be using. If you want to use a 180 RPM hand cannon, for example, you can get 170 weapon stats and 3-tap with it. And you can also do the same with like a pulse rifle or other type of a weapon. But with the 120 that we're going to be using, Igneous Hammer, we're not going to need that at all. So what I do on my armor is I just put, obviously you can only do that on tier 5 armor, but you could put a buff on other stats and reduce the weapon stats, so that's really useful. And all the tier 5 armor drops at 75 base stats, so you want to get pretty much good 75 base stats of health, melee, super, or health, grenade, class, just the stuff that you need. And after, obviously, you need the bonus, so it's kind of hard to get the perfect build. It takes time. If you want to use a website, there's a website called D2 Armor Picker. So I essentially recommend people to just farm any activities, get tier 5s, and put all your tier 5s in the vaults if you have space, obviously. And with those tier 5s, you go on D2 Armor Picker, you select the exotic that you want, and after it's going to tell you the best build possible, which each stats on the left side here. So definitely recommend doing that. It's going to help you a lot. So let's just jump right into the build. And we're going to start with the artifact perks, because they're actually pretty important to this build. So first artifact perk to put is the Fever and Chill. Rapid precision hits with solar weapons grant you Radiance. And Radiant obviously is going to boost your damage. And all you have to do is pretty much use a solar weapon. For example, Igneous Hammer. And you're going to be able to 3-tap. And with that, you get Radiance to proc. Like, it's so OP pretty much. And also there's a second artifact perk called Radiant Sharp Nail in the artifacts, and you can deal sustained weapon damage while Radiance, which we're gonna get easily. You're gonna be able to release a solar projectile that deal damage and scorch on impacts. So I get 1 kill, for example, I get the Radiant to proc, and with the Radiant I shoot somebody else, and when I shoot them a little bit, I think it's like 2 headshots, you're gonna proc this Radiant Sharp Nail perk. And it's a projectile that seeks other players, and you're going to scorch them. So everyone's going to be burning, no one's going to be able to regen, and you're just going to do so much damage. And obviously, on the Solar subclass, there is a fragment that you can use to extend the duration of Radiance and Restoration. So we're going to be using the Ember of Solace, We're going to increase the radiance to pretty much 15 seconds, which is crazy to have. And also, we are going to be using the Ember of Ashes to apply more Scorch on targets. So we're just going to be burning people non-stop. Also, a good way to Scorch people is Celestial Fire. This melee just scorched them from across the map. And you can pair that with a Fusion Grenade or Incendiary Grenade and pretty much hit someone with a melee Celestial Fire. And after, throw a Sticky Nade. And if it lands on them, good. If it lands close to them, you're still going to do enough Scorch, which is pretty much 10 Scorch, and they're just going to explode. And once they explode, obviously you want to be using the other fragment right here, the Ember of Char. Your Solar Ignition spread Scorch to affected targets. So you're going to be able to get multi-kills with the grenade and melee combo, which I've been using for a few seasons now, and it's truly incredible. The last fragment that you want to be using is the Ember of Mercy, and this one is especially good in Trials of Osiris, because when you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain Restoration. And remember that we have the Ember of Solace, so every time we get Restoration, it's going to have an increased duration. And the last thing that I want to talk about for fragments is this Ember of Mercy. Picking up a Fire Sprites grants Restoration, and we're going to be able to create Fire Sprites with this artifact perk right here called Elemental Coalescence. Defeating targets has the chance to create an elemental pickup matching your equip super elements. So if we get a kill and we're using Solar, it's going to create a Fire Sprite. And lastly, the last artifact perk that you want to get is the Shield Crush, because while you have Amplified or Radiance, your grenade recharges faster and deal increased damage. So we give Radiant for 15 seconds. During that 15 seconds, my grenade recharges faster and I can do more damage with it. So it's just free like damage. All the fragments are super useful for build crafting also, because they give you plus 10 grenade and plus 10 health, and none of them remove any stats for you. For the class ability, definitely recommend using Healing Rift. You're able to place it really often, and pretty much your entire team and yourself can sit on it and constantly regen. So while you're getting shots, you can proc the Radiant easily, and you get Overshield. Like, it's one of the most OP ability in the game for sure. And also, it's going to pair really well with the Solstice armor that I have on right now, because Bungie recently added a thing where if you wear the same piece of equipment, for example, I have 4 Solstice armor, the Lustrous robes and the Lustrous armor, I'm going to be able to get this perk right here. Receiving healing temporarily grants your solar weapon increased flinch resistance, handling, and reload speed. So every time I'm on a rift or every time I get restoration, I'm able to get my Ignis Hammer with increased flinch resistance, handling, and reload speed. Like every single time. It's crazy. Also, with 4 pieces of armor, you're able to get rapid solar final blows to heal you. So every time I get a solar final blows, I pretty much get health back. It's insane. For the armor mods, let's start with the helmets. We are going to be using 2 in-flight compensator because it's going to increase my airborne effectiveness, which means that when I jump in the air, I'm going to be able to land my shots and they're going to go where I shoot. And you're also going to be pairing that with, obviously, Icarus grip on your weapon. So I'm using Adept Icarus. It gives me extra handling on my Ignis Hammer. And also, you're going to have a fit-in aspect, which is the best exotic on Warlock. And that actually gives you a passive AE. And the last thing we're going to have is the Heat Rises, because it also gives you passive AE. So the total airborne effectiveness I can get on my Ignis Hammer is 93, which is pretty much like perfect. After that, we're going to be using a Harmonic Siphon, and Rapid Solar Final Blows creates an Orb of Power. Once you create that Orb of Power, you're going to have something on your boots called Absolution, and you reduce all ability cooldown each time you pick up an Orb of Power. You could also put Recuperation, so you're going to be able to regen, but I like to just get all my abilities back every time I pick up an orb. Also, we're going to be using Orbs of Restoration. Picking up an Orb of Power grants a small amount of energy to your ability with the least energy. It's pretty much because I couldn't put 3 Absolution on this. For the Affinity aspect, we're going to be using Solar Loader to reload the Ignis Hammer more often, because remember, it only has 8 bullets instead of 9, so you're going to be reloading a lot, so you can get a 3-piece with this. Also, we're going to be using the faster ready speed for kinetic weapons, which, by the way, I'm now using the Aurus Neutralizer, the Spread Hand Cannon, and I have this roll with Lone Wolf, Entrenched Barrel, Accurized Round, Barrel Shroud, and a Stability Masterwork. And it's a tier 5 weapon. I get a lot of good stats on it. And I'm using this because they nerfed the special ammo economy in Trials, and it's kind of hard to get shotgun ammo. So a lot of people started using sidearms and spread hand cannons, and seriously, they're really good. And lastly, on the chest piece, we are going to be getting Unflinching Harmonic to get less flinch on my solar weapon, Igneous Hammer. And we're also going to be using the health font, so gain a bonus to your health stats while you have an armor charge. And I'm pretty much able to get armor charge by just getting an Orb of Power, which we're getting with the Harmonic Siphon. For the heavy of choice, I like to use a grenade launcher, Cataphract. If you have one with 80 blast radius, you're pretty much able to one-tap with them if you shoot really close to someone or direct impact. So in my opinion, on MNK, they're still the best heavy to use. But you can also be using a machine gun or the linear fusion rifles that shoots 3 bursts. Those are really good on controller if you use controller. And last thing I didn't talk about is the Well of Radiance, but you guys pretty much know Well of Radiance. One little thing that I can say about Well of Radiance, if you pop the Well of Radiance, you're able to 2-tap with Igneous Hammer. Only the person that pops the well is able to get the damage buff, which allows you to 2-tap. So you're going to get that really often if you're the one popping your super first. So yeah, that is the build for the Igneous Hammer. We're using rapid hits, opening shots. A lot of people are going to be talking about Golden Tricorn, but if you want to be able to 2-tap with Golden Tricorn, you need Radiance, and you also need a lot of weapon stats. I think it's like 110, so it's not really worth it. I think opening shots, making the shots more consistent is better. And yeah, I just love this gun. It's so good. And in my opinion, it just feels better than like any other 120s in the game. And lastly, I didn't talk about the melee stats that much, but I get my melee every 1 minute and 21 seconds. But what people forget is that when you use Heat Rises and you shoot and you kill someone in the air, like a final blow in the air, you're going to increase the duration of Heat Rises, but also grant your melee energy. And I think right now it's like 33% melee energy back, almost like 40% to 50% if you're just jumping in the air and getting a kill. And you're going to have that pretty often. So I pretty much get my melee in like, let's say like 40 seconds. We're going to be getting a grenade every 34 seconds. And we'll also be getting a rift every 41 seconds. So think about it. That is a lot of abilities in less than a minute. And if a round of trials lasts like 2 minutes, I'm able to get double that every single time. So it is phenomenal. So I'm done talking. I hope it was clear. I hope you guys are going to join the Warlock side and actually try this build because it's super fun. And I would say it's like ability spamming a lot, but that's what Crucible is nowadays, so you got to get used to it. I'm going to work on a video talking about all the stats in detail if you want to know which stats to use on each class. And also, we're going to be doing other builds on the Hunter and the Titan. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like and sub, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.